2, 1.
Sean? Awesome, man. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Good seeing you. It's only been, I think, probably 10 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Back to Shawnee Mission East days.
Yeah.
The glory days.
Yeah, so you were a grade older than me at East, and you basketball player and baseball player.
Tried to.
Yeah. Did you end up playing in college?
Played a little bit. Went to Mizzou, so I was the black sheep. I think I was the one guy who went over from Kansas to Mizzou, and it ended up being more beer league softball training than anything else. I just kind of rode the bench, but it was fun.
That had been a good experience.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Because were you guys in the SEC at that time?
No, so we were in the Big 12. The one perk is it was when some of the guys that made it up to the major leagues were there, and so I got to at least watch like Crow and Scherzer and Gibson and some of those people and pretend I knew them. But
wow,
yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
To be around that. Yeah, I had at Rhode Island. I have when I was a freshman, we had a senior, Jeff Cameron, who played for the USA national team. And so I got to spend a year with him, and just seeing someone at his level and then see him play professionally for the next 10 years, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So you know a lot of those guys on a first-name basis.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Do you keep in contact with any of them?
A little bit. So Crow's, he's back here. He played for the Royals, which it was awesome to see him come back. He's from Topeka and play for the hometown team. But, yeah, we try to stay in touch with all those guys.
Nice.
But they haven't kept up with my beer league softball career.
And you went to law school as well.
I did. Yeah, if you look at my resume, it's kind of one of the most roundabout, and wondering if this guy knows what the hell he was doing, which the answer was no, but a lot of it's come full circle, and I've been able to use most of it. But I was kind of the Van Wilder of Mizzou, where I did undergrad there and then went straight into the JD MBA, and so I was there for 7 total years.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to know Columbia well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long did you practice law after?
A whopping 18 months, I think, but it worked out well because I practiced at Hush Blackwell in Kansas City, and which they were awesome, and went in kind of under the veil of doing mergers and acquisitions work. But what I was really interested in was startup work, and they were just getting rolling. Like Kansas City was blossoming as a startup community, and they were looking at starting a practice that was corporate, but it was focused towards these emerging companies.
Yeah.
And it's one of the areas where you don't need the gray hair as much, and it's actually the opposite, where if you want to approach these companies, they want to see younger people because they assume they might be in tune with the tech that they're working on, or they might be kind of understand the business better. And so I actually benefited from that and getting my foot in the door and having some client interaction probably before I was even ready to, but just kind of fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And so everyone at Hush was awesome about getting me involved and putting me in front of clients and stuff. So I got to do a lot of the mergers and acquisitions work, but a lot of it tied directly into some of the stuff we'll get into with Scissors and Scotch, because at the same time, the last year of law school is when this idea started getting formed, and so everything we were learning, and then as I was at Hush, everything we were working on translated directly. I mean, literally we would use, when I'd learn how to write an operating agreement, we'd go frantically write down everything on our own that night and apply it. And so spent a year and a half at Hush, and then got out of there without, I hope, if anyone's watching, without burning any bridges. We actually became a client of theirs, and so still keep in touch with a lot of those, the people that I worked for and the mentors that I had and everything. And so we have a great connection with them.
Yeah. So how did, like you were saying, the exposure of seeing the operating agreements and seeing the mergers and acquisitions, I'm sure you were able to dissect and go into the guts of how a business is created and what all the litigation looks like.
Yep.
And so that process being a business owner is very familiar.
Yeah.
And so when did you get the idea to do Scissors and Scotch?
So it was you remember Eric Anderson from Shawnee Mission East. And so the 3 guys that started it was me, Eric Anderson, and another guy named Tanner Wiles. And so Eric was the one with the crazy idea at first, and so he was working for an insurance company at the time, and they assign you to a city. And so he got assigned, his territory was Omaha.
Okay.
So he moved up to Omaha, Nebraska, and he was getting ready for his first meeting. I can't remember what it was, but needed to get his hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
And basically Googled men's haircuts and figured out that in general there's 3 options that every guy has, and you can go to the cost cutters version of it, or you can go to the clips joint. You can go to a sometimes cool but a grungy barbershop, kind of the corner barbershop, or you go to your girlfriend's salon. And so, like all the guys' startup ideas, it started over beers, scotch, whatever it was, but started kicking around and complaining like, well, I think a lot of the guys are in the same boat, and it's not just us, it's dads, it's everyone just doesn't have a great experience. And for a lot of guys, it feels like a chore going to get your haircut.
Yep.
And so we were just saying, well, I mean, women have it great because they enjoy going to the salon, they make it into this big experience. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but why does it have to feel like a chore? Why can't guys go have somewhere where they feel relaxed, where they don't have to just check a box for that day like they're going to the grocery store? Why can't we create an experience that guys look forward to?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. I mean, women love going to the salon, and it's an experience for them. Whereas I'm like, okay, I need to squeeze in my haircut in between meetings or figure out when I can make time for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a great idea, and I see the angle for it because, I mean, there was a lot of competition in the space.
Yep.
And, you know, what was the first year like? Just getting it out there, getting the idea, getting people turned on to it.
Yeah. So when we first came up with the idea, it was a lot of brainstorming and stuff, and just honestly, we didn't even think that we were going to be starting a business at that point. It was more, a lot of great ideas start just with the need. And so we knew that we were the target market, and we're saying, well, if there's 3 of us and all of our buddies are going through the same thing and our dads complain about the same thing, there might actually be a market here. So if we were going to create a business that we would want to go to, what would it look like? And so at that time, Tanner was living in Kansas City. I was still at Mizzou, but we would all make Kansas City kind of the meeting ground, or it'd be on Google Hangouts. We'd come in on weekends and we'd work, and we started putting together the enthusiasm would build as we came up with more ideas, and then it kind of crystallized into, okay, this could actually be something. And so we knew we had a diverse set of backgrounds, which was great. And so Eric had a lot of sales knowledge. Tanner was at Cerner, and so he had a lot of training. So he would go teach people how to use new systems and knew how to build a team and all that. I had the legal and a lot of the financial stuff, and so we were able to put together a business plan. And so a lot of it came together quickly, but the first stage is just what would our name be, business plan, all that type stuff. If we're going to go to get funding, what do they want to see? And so we put that together in probably a month or 2, and then it turned into, okay, well, none of us have any money at all. I mean, we're all, me especially as a college student, your net worth is negative $1 million.
Yeah.
And so we knew that the 3 of us don't have, this was our first startup.
What year is this?
This is, 2013, early 2014.
And so you're in law school, your last year of law school, doing all this.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you you graduate, you go work in the corporate world for Hush Blackwell for 1.5 years, while also on the side building this.
Yeah. So the idea was we'll call it fully, but it was crystallized enough kind of in the transition time between school and going to Hush. And so at that time we're starting to approach banks, and we figure, 3 guys that are 29, 28 with no background in startups or any of that, you're not going to get angel money, you're not going to get anything. And so we figured maybe we can go find someone who will do an SBA loan, which at the time you don't have any idea what that is. And so it's a lot of research into if a bank's going to lend, how are they going to do it? Okay, there's something called an SBA loan where the government backs a lot of it. How do we make that happen? So you go to 900 banks, and it's the same story that all the startups go through, where you just get told no, and you have to just try to keep maximizing the number of people you get in front of. Soon enough, someone's going to say yes. And so we found a bank in Omaha. Shout out to Errol Kincaid. He was he was on board, loved the idea. He's kind of I think what really helped is a lot of the people that were in on that committee were in our wheelhouse, and so they could see. I mean, a lot of those guys were thinking, yeah, I would go to this, and I think all my buddies would go to this, and this will be a hit, especially in Omaha, which we didn't realize at the time, but came to learn that Omaha is a test market for all kinds of
interesting
different industries.
Right.
But it's there wasn't. You were talking about competition earlier.
Yeah.
Out in the suburbs of Omaha, there weren't. I mean, it's just as dense. We start digging into the demographics and kind of where's the disposable income at compared to places we know. It mirrors Kansas City in a lot of ways, but there wasn't that much competition, and so you realize in hindsight how lucky you get with a lot of factors, and that's one of them that we picked a good spot and lucked out that Eric got placed in Omaha because the margin of error is a little wider.
Yeah.
And so we got funding with that, and then it's just all systems go. And so I was moonlighting, and so a lot of I started to work at Hush, and I'm doing, like I told you, a lot of the stuff is M&A startup work, and so I'm learning a ton about honestly how businesses fail.
Yeah, it's all applicable.
Yeah, and so you're not that all of our clients they're not failing, but you're trying to set them up so they don't run into the traps that a lot of the others have. But that's great knowledge to have because you know how to write your operating agreement so if something happens down the road, you don't have that problem.
Right.
Or you are thinking ahead of, okay, well, this client's running into this issue. Let's make sure we do X, Y, Z up front so we don't have that same problem.
Well, they say, if you're going to build a business, you at the same time as just starting it, you have to plan the exit too. Mm-hmm. And so you were seeing that whole process.
Yeah.
So that's extremely beneficial. Not a lot of people are going to have that kind of experience that you have right out of the gate.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not only what mistakes to avoid, but also, I mean, when we're down the line a little bit, if we do decide to raise money, what are some of these, like with our clients, what are some of the angel firms, VC firms, what do they ask about? Or what's on their checklist? And so we try to structure ours as, or make things as put together as we could up front, which we didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we tried to be as polished as we could and avoid a lot of these things. And so that again really did help. And so we were, then it gets into, I mean, there's a lot of gray area, especially with this concept in terms of licensing, because not a lot of, there's what we call the PBR shops where there's old school barbershops that'll just kind of slip you the beer under the table. They don't have a liquor license. No one really cares. They're not scaling. That's the old school barbershop you run into.
Right.
But if we always knew that we didn't want to just do one. If we're going to do this, we wanted to scale it. And if you're going to do that, you have to dot your I's and you have to be able to do it above board. And so we had to learn how to do the liquor licensing portion and how to do, at the time we didn't know, okay, if you're going to run a barbershop, do you need a barbershop license? If you have stylists, do you need a cosmetology license too? All that. So that's where a lot of that boring stuff, of course, everyone just points to,
easy to,
hey, you went to law school, you can, why don't you do all
figure
this?
it out.
It has nothing to do with anything I've ever learned. But that's when I was saying kind of the roundabout resume. A lot of this stuff that you didn't think you were prepared for, you learn how to research in law school. You learn how to read the statutes, how to question the laws, what to follow, what you can bend a little bit, all that type of stuff. So it did come in very handy in figuring out the business plan.
Why not get a private loan? Just from like a wealthy individual.
Well, we maybe could have. So what our loose mindset was, the valuation's going to be awful. It's hard to, it's just beyond blind faith. And so if someone's going to come in with money, they're going to want equity. And if your valuation's low, you're going to
give it away.
You basically give it away to, and you're going to have probably, if we want to build it, we're going to give it away to someone silent, or they're going to have, they're going to try to be too influential, and then it'll just all go to hell. And so we figured bank first, just because loans are cheaper than giving away equity. And so we've tried to, and actually everything so far up to this point has been all bank loans. And so aside from Brandy, who has one of our, because the three of us had no idea how to cut hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended up, which we can get into, we ended up
please
finding
do.
a very, very experienced barber, and she's awesome. Another thing, we didn't realize how lucky we were in meeting her. But besides her getting some vested equity, we've still held on to all of it, which is, you haven't been able to scale as fast as you would want to up front, but hopefully it'll pay. I mean, it allowed us to really hone in the model, make sure that we had it exactly right before franchising, and then you also get to hold on to the equity. So we could have gone a couple different ways. We chose to go bank loan just for that reason, loosely. But
What was the first location?
it was Omaha. It was West Omaha.
Okay.
So it was out you don't have access to anything except for census data, and so we figured. I mean, we didn't want to just throw darts at a map, and so we figured, okay, well, if we're going to maximize our chance of success, we need to have the most people within a realistic radius, and we would literally just kind of spitball. How far would you drive to go get your hair cut from out of your way from work or from your house? Most guys said about
5 miles tops.
Yeah, or they'd say just like, I don't know, miles wise, I don't know, but 15 minutes. I'm not going to spend too much time,
Right.
or else it does become a chore. And so we said, okay, well, if we want to make 15 minutes the loose radius, not knowing anything, where is the densest, richest place that we can find with like the most people surrounding it where there's real estate? And so we'd start looking around. We had close friends in real estate, which again really helped. And so we landed on middle of the suburbs in West Omaha, and ended up being an awesome spot.
Really?
So we lucked out with that too.
What was the first couple months like for that first location?
Chaos.
Yeah.
Uh,
How many barbers did you have?
We had-
what was those first couple months? What was the experience like for the customer versus what it is today? What's changed?
Night and day. I mean, so the bones were the same, and so a lot of the stuff we knew. When you go get a service, we knew this we want the haircut, we want the shampoo, we want the scalp massage. We kind of knew the structure of what we wanted. A lot of the details are completely different today. So at the time, we also didn't really know what we were doing with construction. So when we opened, we had already told everyone we were going to open on this date, and then everything hit the fan. And so we call them stations, but basically think of the mirror that you're sitting at in front of back to back, didn't even have mirrors on them. And so we had to prop the mirrors up. We had the liquor license was stalled, and so we had to sweet talk people into getting extra drinks later. And so everything it was a shotgun start. We weren't ready to open, but we at least had enough boots on the ground, and it was there was a lot of personal touch going into it, and so people were more lenient just because they could. We'd spend time with them, we'd explain and try to show them the vision. Here's where we're going to be, and think of it when it's going to be X, Y, and Z. And so it was a mess to start, but we got it cleaned up as quick as we could. And so we got liquor license still soon after, then we could start doing the full experience. Learned a lot about doing soft openings, had some private groups in there, and then the word of mouth advertising has helped us a ton, and that's something that we've used in each new market, kind of giving people a sneak peek because they always like being the first ones in to get the full personalized experience. And so
when I walk in today, when you want a customer to walk in, what kind of experience are you visualizing that you want them to have?
We want them to relax. We want it to be, this is cliche, but more than a haircut. We don't like that line, but it really is. We wanted to build something that becomes truly an experience and isn't just cutting your hair. So you want and it means a different thing to a lot of guys. Some just want an escape where they can come relax, have a good conversation, just hang out at the bar, and just not have to think about anything or just take a step back. Some guys we've had people in the lounge, which we didn't realize how big of a draw that was going to be. We have people that go there for connections, for business connections, and so that ends up being, because it's that first one started in the wealthy suburbs of Omaha, and some people would say we've met more people through just sitting at the bar than we did at our country club.
Yeah, and they probably don't want to go home to their wives either, so they just stay.
No comment there. Yeah,
stay there longer. No, it's a great idea. It's almost like a mini country club in a way.
And we didn't want it to be. It is in some ways, and we wanted to stay away kind of from the country club wording or feel, because we didn't want to make it feel too exclusive, because we we literally have everyone from, you'll have the corporate, the investment bankers, the CEOs and all that stuff.
And
but
the construction worker.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
blue collar people. We have all kinds of people, and we wanted to feel inviting to everyone, not like we were looking down on any kinds of people, and just it just needed to be relaxing, and we really support our stylists and our barbers and everyone expressing themselves, so we don't try to fit into some cookie cutter mold of what a stylist should be, because different people click with different types of personalities. And so the big thing is, like, we preach little things like shaking someone's hand, looking them in the eye, remembering their name, taking client notes on, I mean, just little things make you feel wanted more than you realize. And so if you don't feel like you're just a number that's going through that clip joints books, then it becomes that experience, and you feel like you have that connection, and that's what builds retention, because you have loyalty to the place. And
yeah, excellent customer service is going farther and farther nowadays, because we're becoming so digitalized and everything's computer facing, that excellent customer service is really going to set you apart.
Yeah.
And I think that translates across so many different industries. So it's really cool to hear you guys are making that a focus.
Yeah, no, we really are. And because, I mean, we're self-aware and know that at the end of the day, like at the core of it, haircuts themselves are a commodity. So you have to build, I mean, you're really in the customer service business.
Right.
You have to build an experience that goes above and beyond what others are able to. And we have a competitive advantage in that we have the liquor license, we have the lounge. We can do some stuff that transcends just being a barbershop, and do events and build some customer stickiness. But if you don't focus on the experience, then it just goes back to you're another place to get your haircut, which doesn't separate us from.
So how does the pricing work? Do you pay when you get your haircut done? Is it a membership based?
We have memberships, but you don't have to be a member.
Okay.
So there's different tiers of service, just like anywhere else. We name the tiers kind of after Scotch. So if you think of Scotch, the higher the year, the better the Scotch. And so we have our three fan favorite services are the 10-year, the 15-year, and the 25-year.
Cool.
So they come with different amenities, and so the 10-year would, for example, come with, you get the haircut, the shampoo, you'd get scalp massage, all that type. So as you go up through the services, you start getting extra stuff. So I don't know if you know what paraffin hand dip is, but we go all the way into different spa amenities. And so it's kind of we wanted to blend the soul of an old school barbershop. So the old school, the straight razor shaves, the haircuts, all that stuff.
And there's special licensing with using a straight edge.
Yes.
And because that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
About a barbershop is that they do the hot shaving cream on the neck.
Yeah.
And do a straight edge to it. And I can't find anybody to do that.
Yeah.
Because you have to have a different license just for that.
Yep.
And that seems like such a pain.
It is not fun. And it's different state to state. And so as much of a pain as it is, that's another thing. I mean, if you're willing to go through what it takes to understand it and to think outside the box and to figure out how to make it happen, that gives you a leg up, because you're able then to offer it. And some of the big, when you're looking at, okay, well, if you just narrow it down to haircut industry, how does Sport Clips not just come in and spend a bunch of money and eat your lunch? Well, they can't do what we're doing because they're not able to offer liquor. They're not able to host events. They're not able to do a lot of the stuff. We knew if we're going to have a competitive edge, we have to really place an emphasis on some of the stuff that's unique to us. But
do you think that's because they're such a big corporation that they aren't able to be as nimble and have that soft touch that you guys have? Because the individual owner, you and Eric and Tanner, aren't actually there?
Yeah.
Because they have hundreds of locations nationwide. How can they have that real personal touch?
It just takes too much of a pivot in terms, because they're locked into how they do it and their pricing structure, and they don't have the membership. Like we were talking about pricing earlier, I got sidetracked, which will happen often. But so for our membership program, for example, like we wanted to build, because we know a lot of guys, I used to be one of them, I would just go to whichever place didn't have a line, because especially when I was at Hush, if you only have an hour, you just need to get in and out. I don't know, I can't plan ahead. None of these places, unless they would tell me, okay, you have from 1 to 2, that's when you're going to be here. then I just have to go wherever's available. And so one thing we really wanted, part of the experience starts even before you enter the shop. Like the experience starts with the digital. Like I want peace of mind knowing I have a set appointment. It was really easy for me to book that. And then when I get in there, I know it's not going to be like the barber shop on the corner. I'm not going to have to wait for 40 minutes to even get into my barber.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the competitive advantages we have are we try to really embrace the tech developments and take some of the things that we've seen that are really cool out of other industries
Mm-hmm.
and apply them to grooming, which is kind of lagged behind in those. And
How so? Like, how did you integrate that
so
with grooming?
well, so the app you'd be surprised at how few places have an app in the first place. And so now
Right.
Sport Clips, for example, has added an app, but it's more to put yourself in line ahead of other people. But I mean, with ours, you can do without getting too far into the weeds. But you can manage your membership, set up your appointment, you can do all kinds of stuff. Meet the team. Like a lot of people, that connection between the stylist you want to go, you say, okay, cool, down the street we have one in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what some of those personality, he was talking about everyone has different personalities. I want to see what some of those are and figure out who might be a good fit for me so I can become a long-term customer. Right. We have a whole team page that'll go into different personalities and
that store.
For every store. And so it'll say, I mean, like,
keep going.
What their hobbies are. Like you can get some sense of humor in there and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's excellent. How did you go about building that? I mean, that's an extensive software to build.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was a lot of the doing things that don't scale, and we knew that was going to be how we'd establish our presence up front and going over the top on personal touch with everything. And you can't really think through how to scale it at the time and try to think of 1,000 stores before you get one right. Mm-hmm. And so over time, we figured out how to automate it a little bit and simplify the process of adding people, adding new shops and all that stuff. But at first, we didn't know. I mean, like we had some connections that knew how to build websites. We'd ask them, hey, we want to build a bio. Can we just do it for the shop and we'll figure it out from there? And then you get a lot. We're huge on customer feedback, and so we'd immediately take it through the feedback loop and say, do you guys like our team page? Does that matter to you? Mm-hmm. We can look at the web traffic and stuff like that. You don't realize, kind of like the lounge, that had the second highest traffic besides our straight up homepage out of any of them. And so people, they were really interested in looking through and meeting people. And yeah.
How have you guys attacked the social media and like staying, because that's a constant, I mean, that's its own department, just staying relevant on top of that daily post, daily activity, keeping people engaged.
Yeah. Social media, it is time consuming. It's been great half of our customers are between 25 and 35.
Okay.
And so now it's shifting towards Instagram, but especially when we started, it was still heavily Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the good things about social media is we knew...
that's shifting away from Facebook fast.
Yes, yeah. So we knew a lot just from spending so much time in class on Facebook and kind of knowing, okay, when I get ads, what do I truly look at? And again, that's one of the blessings about building a business for yourself is being the customer. Mm-hmm. You know where you actually pay attention to ads, and we know kind of how to run the ad platform. And so you can get highly targeted. We really emphasize targeted ads that aren't just vomiting your name over the radio, and you don't know who it's going to. Like we would know, okay, this ad's going to go to people with this income that are this age and we don't just target men because women drive a lot of the decisions, especially if they want their guy to look good. They'll tell you where you should be going. Yeah. And so a lot of the attention on social media is girls. And so, but we'll have highly targeted ads. That's shifted a lot to Instagram. But we try to be really smart. And now that we've gotten into franchising too, I mean, the top-notch multi-unit operators, they want to know what your digital strategy is. They want to know that if I'm going to pay you X $1,000, mm-hmm. where specifically is my money going? What's the conversion rate? All that type of stuff. And so social media on those big platforms is great because it does a lot of the work for you.
Yep.
but we're trying to get to, and now once you get some momentum, you have more capital to go have a marketing firm help you with content. 'Cause
Right.
at the end of the day, if you're trying to scale, you have to have it automated.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the stage we're at now, is building a catalog so that there's a new playbook. So if we go to, say, Seattle, and they say, I want to get this snowball going as fast as I can, get as many people in, what do? We would be able to hand them over. Here are the ads you run. Here's when you run them. Here are the triggers, all that type of stuff.
And so you have built that internal data already.
Yeah.
And you guys have been doing that organically through yourselves. You haven't outsourced that marketing piece.
So not entirely. We did it ourselves up front, but since we've hired a marketing firm in town who's awesome, DMH, and they've done a lot of the content creation. We've partnered with a customer analytics firm, and so we're starting to get people who are experts in every area.
Okay.
But you up front, you can't afford any of those people, and so
Yeah.
you have to just kind of figure out how to makeshift it and look at census data and all that crap. And
Yeah,
so,
right.
Yeah.
So what about college towns? I figured that would be a hotbed.
Yeah, that's been a pointed contention. So the turnover with people, like just getting them into the shop and then losing them a couple years later, and having them not there, especially if you have a college town like Columbia, for example, Mizzou.
Yeah.
Not a big town other than the students and the professors and stuff during the school year. And so losing them over breaks and all that type of stuff, it hasn't been as appealing, especially when there's so much white space throughout the country. That hadn't been the primary target. Not that we don't think it'll work, but there's not a lot of experiences like Scissors and Scotch in big cities. And so we want to try to go after some of the biggest fish first.
Yeah.
But down the road, who knows, especially after we hone in, we know exactly what those demographics and how small we can get and still have a successful shop. Because one of the other benefits for franchisees is we have a flexible footprint. And so if you're looking at, say we're going to Dallas this summer, if you plop that down in the middle of one of the densest areas of Dallas, you can handle a shop that has, say, 14 chairs, but you can flex that down to 8 if you're going somewhere and you need to put it in a corner, or you have somewhere that will do well, but they just can't support that many chairs. And so we're not just a box ground up build, but which makes it a little difficult because you have to design the layout to fit inside of the space, but it also gives you flexibility with how big do we need to make the lounge, how many chairs do we need to have.
So the common theme right now is that retail is declining heavily. Does that have any effect on you guys, or do you think this is separate from retail?
Couple things there. So when we're looking at where we want to expand, we look obviously at the demographics and everything, but we have definitely taken into mind, okay, if we're selling to a franchisee and pitching that this is going to be a great spot, that initial term is 10 years, and then they have renewals after that. And so if their franchise agreement's that long, we need to be putting them in a spot where it's still going to be healthy in 10 years and thriving. And so if we're aware of Amazon is eating a lot of big box retailers' lunch, we maybe want to avoid going to a shopping center that's anchored by something that we don't think is going to do well. And so we try to target places that stand out to us are the ones that you just can't mimic through online places like Amazon. And so experiences, restaurants that are, strong restaurant, because restaurant industry is cutthroat too, but just places that people have to drive to and they can't buy online are attractive, and that's honestly something that helps us when we're pitching. And a lot of landlords are wanting us to go there because we drive up the foot traffic, because you can't get a haircut anywhere except for at the actual barber shop. And so they know that based on our projections, they're going to have 100 people in there a day. And so that helps just to get them even into the parking lot of their center.
So do you like brick and mortar that has more parking lot or more foot traffic?
Parking lot. So with guys, they're so you don't really walk by and just say, "Oh, that place is cool. I'm gonna pop in for a haircut." It's an appointment.
Right.
So we're more of a destination, and so the middle of I'm gonna use Kansas City reference, but the middle of the plaza isn't as attractive because it's so expensive, and there's a ton of foot traffic. That's great, but no one has just a free 55 minutes to
Right.
go stop in, and so it's a little better for, again, going back to the experience. The experience starts with your booking, but the whole thing, if you want to feel relaxed about and not feel like it's a chore,
Yeah.
it needs to be easy.
Right.
So the booking needs to be easy, the parking needs to be easy. You need to go in relaxed, because if you go in and the booking pissed you off, the parking was hell, and you walk in and you're late and all this stuff, then you're already starting off on a horrible foot.
There's a lot of psychology behind this.
Yeah, there really is.
I mean, you have to really break down the male brain.
Yeah. But it helps. I mean, it helps being the customer we're targeting,
Right.
because then it comes, you would hope, naturally, and just say, I wouldn't go do that, then don't do it.
Mm-hmm. So how many locations do you guys have, including the Dallas one coming up this summer?
So we have 6 open now. We have 3 in the works, counting Dallas, that are in construction. And we're going to, there's the kind of the Super Bowl of multi-unit franchise sales is in Vegas every year, and we're going to that in March. And so we have a handful of targeted cities that we're hoping to start ramping up, that we really spent the last year, again, getting things right. We wanted to scale quickly, but not so fast that we were out of control.
Right.
I mean, especially a lot of these operators they've gone to other concepts before.
Yeah, there was one on Shark Tank. Did you ever see that episode? There was a male grooming salon.
The Hammer and Nails one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just saw that episode a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So are they still up and running?
I think they're up and running. I don't know if they've expanded as quickly as they were hoping to. And then you're getting into the paraffin wax I was talking about earlier.
Okay.
I think that's more guys manicures focused, not the whole shebang.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's a perfect point. There's a lot of competition, and so when we're pitching, now it's become, we don't just compete against the barbershop industry. If we're trying to sell these, and we award markets, the whole market, so we want someone that's able to both financially and managerially handle, like we sell Dallas, they need to be able to put in enough throughout all of Dallas and not just go do one and block off the market. So those people, they have a lot of options because it's expensive, and they want a concept, whether or not it's in our industry, that's put together, that is scalable, that has their operations in check, that really knows what they're doing with marketing, that has just all our ducks in a row. And so this first wave, we made sure, okay, we'll get training dialed in, we'll get all this stuff dialed in, and now we're ready to step on the gas pedal a little bit.
Wow. So what's the 5-year goal for you guys? Where do you envision this thing?
Hopefully we'd be all across the goal is to get all across the country. We've had interest, everywhere from Seattle to Florida. And so it's we've done the research on where we want to go. We know the market's there. I mean, guys need their haircut and want shaves everywhere. And so we would like to put this in as many cities as we can, but make sure, again, that we are not losing. Quality control is really, really important to us. And so we don't want to just go throw stores everywhere and just up the store count and have the experience go downhill. And so we want to do as many stores as we can that have the quality that we expect.
Do you feel like you have everything in place to get there?
Mm-hmm.
Are there some big kind of question marks that you're kind of exploring and thinking that you need to be answered in order to get there?
Eventually, we'll have to scale up the team. We're still operating lean because we don't need the people yet, but we'll start to hire. And so a lot of the stuff, you encounter stuff you didn't realize you didn't know as you're going. And so I'm sure we'll run into stuff, but we try to be a step ahead. And I think we're definitely ready for the next wave, which is going to be 2 or 3 times as big as this last one.
Do you think you need to bring on like an executive board that knows how to scale at the level you want to go, or do you think you guys can do it on your own?
We want to keep doing it on our own. That said, we don't think that we know all, and so we try to. put a huge emphasis on listening to clients, but then we also try to get as many people. The good thing about our clientele is there are a lot of people that are in higher power positions in a lot of different industries, and so it's easy to meet someone who is a VC and says, hey, if you guys are thinking about going this route, you need to do these things.
Right.
And so you have to have, we try to encourage people to just be very blunt. The three of us especially have thick skin, and so they just shoot us straight. What sucks about our company? What do we need to change? By when? All this stuff. Like, how would you view us through your lens? And so we try to get feedback from as many. And like I was saying, with hiring experts, we're no longer trying to do everything in-house. So we know that if we want to have the best marketing, we need to go hire the best marketing firm in Kansas City. If we want best legal, we need to go to the best law firm. And so even though we're operating lean in-house, we have a team that at every point we're very competitive, and we try to be the best at that specific thing, whether or not it's us doing all the legwork.
I think that's the best way to operate.
Yeah.
You don't have to, instead of trying to figure out internally, just outsource a lot of those big question marks and just make yourself more efficient. And I think businesses in general are all moving towards that model.
Yeah.
And you can operate like that being a very small business. So how do you guys go about your hiring? Do you guys have a process
at the
in
shop?
place? Yeah, at the shop, just in general.
Another leg up that we have is I know I'm biased, but we've had people come from a lot of different big players, and they've all told us we have a top-notch training. We consider it the best in the country, especially for stylists and barbers. And so whether or not they're 15 years in or if they're just out of school, we still make them all go through our same training program. That's something that Brandy has helped us develop. So Brandy's our director of grooming operations. So this thing
is that in Kansas City?
So it's at each shop. So we'll have certified trainers, and early on it was just Brandy doing it. And so since she's built a team that's able and puts people through training so that they're certified to go train. But we'll have everyone, no matter what, go through our training program. Because, again, it comes back to quality control. And if we were going to scale, we can't have people – it can't be dependent on just having an A-plus staff, and we really lucked out with that Omaha crew. We need to make sure that as long as – they have to have a baseline skill level, but then we need to have confidence in the training program that we can turn them into one of the best barbers in town. And a lot of – again, back to the psychology, a lot of guys either don't know – or don't care what the difference is between a good haircut and a great haircut, and really what they're after is an experience. So they want their hair to look good, but personality comes into play more than you'd think. And it's not we don't just take the most technically talented barber who might be arrogant or thinks they can do it their own way or they don't need to cut like we cut or any of that stuff. We want someone who really buys into the system, who's very capable, but is also really fun to talk to. They're a great team player. They're fun. They just bring the culture up because the guy, you can sense, even if it's subconscious, you can sense the vibe when you go in there, and you kind of leave with the same attitude that you were surrounded by. And so we do put them through training, but a lot of that is the soft skills too.
Right.
And so, but yeah, it's, again, we didn't know what the hell we were doing up front, and so Brandy has been instrumental in the technical side.
So you obviously left a nice corporate gig and went on a limb and started this with your buddies. And
tough sales pitch to my parents.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Who did they give you a lot of pushback? What was that process like?
No, they were very supportive. They gave the natural pushback. Trying to tell, especially a year and a half into, you go through law school trying to get the big firm job. You get the big firm job, and you say, "Hey, I'm going to work for a barber shop."
Yeah.
With Tanner and Eric, who they knew, and they had seen enough, heard enough bar stories that they just didn't think that was a good idea. But so I think they could see the passion. They've always been about not just following your passion, because I'm passionate about going to Cancun, but that's not going to actually like adding value and finding something that you can outwork people in, which takes passion to do. And they could see, once we showed them the business plan, how far it would come. We waited until the right point and said, okay, we actually have a bank that's backing this. This has legs. It's not just me going out on a limb. And I'm pretty, compared to the other two guys, risk averse, and so I waited as long as I could until it's financially okay to go. I didn't want to burn bridges where
Right.
I'm splitting time, but think the jump off point was the right spot, but it was still not a pleasant
Appropriate. Yeah, no, I can't imagine.
combo.
What's the most exciting thing about this? What brings out the passion about what you guys are doing, or what you have in the pipeline?
I think the three of us all love startup mode more than managing a business. Kind of, I mean, you know the difference between building something and managing something. And so we love coming up. The easy part's the brainstorming, but then following through on it and seeing the idea come to life, whether it's our own or our clients or even our staff. I mean, if they say, hey, we want to redesign these stations, and we say, okay, if cost and time weren't a thing, how would you want to see them? It comes down to the little details. It'd be awesome if we had like drawer here with all the hooks and all this stuff, and then seeing their reaction when we redo the stations for the next one. Like that type of stuff is fun because all those little details start to add up, and then clients notice when you make the changes that they suggested over a survey or something like that, and then seeing the feedback online from the little stuff that the experience is made up.
It's endless creativity.
Yeah, it's fun.
When you're an entrepreneur and you guys are, especially in the space that you're in, and
Yeah.
it's so customer focused and getting that feedback, that's awesome. What's your favorite whiskey or Scotch?
I'm always, people give me crap because I'm the beer guy out of the three, and so I'm a sucker for Tank 7.
Okay.
But Eric and Tanner are the whiskey guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And so if people want to find out more, want to book an appointment, where would they go about doing that?
So scissorscotch.com.
Okay.
You just come in. You don't have to be a member. The membership part of it is because we really wanted to personalize the experience, and so one cool thing about that is once you come in, you figure out what level of service you want, how often. They're all based on how fancy of a service you want, and then how often you want to come in. So like I would go every 4 weeks. Some guys, especially with the shorter haircuts, go every 2.
Right.
So you can customize your own package to where, okay, I want these handful of things. I'll be in here every 2 weeks. I really click with this stylist, and I can just do it from my app. And
Wow.
so once you kind of figure out the ropes, you can become a member. And so a lot of we have several thousand members now, which is awesome to see the membership community growing. And then you can start. We try to do a lot of local events and really take advantage of the lounge. So then once you're a member, and you can come when you're not, you get discounted rates, but really if you're just an S&S customer, we do stuff in the lounge like tap takeovers. So Boulevard's a little big, we would love to have that, but say there's a local brewery, like there's one right next to our Omaha shop. If they have a new line they want to show off or new winter beer or something, they'll come over and you can come in for free, or we'll have some first 25 people that sign up can try that beer, or we'll have like here we'll go after and talk to Rieger and see if we can do whiskey tasting there,
Right.
or any of his new stuff, not just whiskey, but we'll do trunk shows, all kinds of stuff. And so we've even had like fantasy football private drafts and all that. But there's a lot, it comes back to a lot of the stuff that transcends just being a barbershop. It becomes, if you want to be kind of on the cutting edge, cheesy pun, but if you want to find out all these cool lifestyle things, look good and feel good, and see all this stuff local to Kansas City,
Yeah.
that helps it not feel so cookie cutter and like it's just another Clips joint and all that. And so those are some of the perks once you do become a member.
Yeah. So scissorscotch.com.
Scissorscotch.com.
No and in there.
Nope.
Scissorscotch.com.
Can't do the ampersand in the URL, so that was...
Yeah.
Didn't think that one through, but whatever.
Well, man, it's been amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. It's been
Yeah, thank
really
you.
cool learning that whole process, and hopefully we have you on again and you can tell us about where you guys are at that point.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
All right, thank you.
Great. All right, cool.